we will have, and we are in the midst of a fair and open and free election.
We're starting to see some change in the trends. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, we're starting to see polls change. We've got a poll coming from Juno News showing exactly this. We've also got Mark Carney running from reporters, answering no questions. Mainstream media doing all they can to try to support Mark Carney. Danielle Smith blasting the Liberals and a bunch of other stuff. Let's jump into this. Starting off this one, I apologize, but we've got Captain Schmuck, Justin Trudeau. Just take a listen to what he said in the past here.
You see, 8 months ago, we announced investments to retool the CAMI EV assembly plant here in Ingersoll. Then GM began working to get CAMI ready for electric vehicle production. And today, as Mark pointed out, in record time, we're opening the first full-scale commercial electric vehicle plant in Canada.
So there's Justin Trudeau's announcement. This was back like a year and a half ago. And today, what do we have? Hundreds of workers laid off at Ingersoll, Ontario assembly plant as GM halts production. They're throwing our tax dollars away on these stupid projects. They shouldn't be giving hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars to these companies to set up. Just open up the free market, let companies work, get all the red tape out of the way. So it says here they'll reopen October with reduced production. Just another casualty of Mark Carney's tariffs on America. So it says here this GM plant produced 427 vehicles sold in Canada in 2024. That's what this huge investment yielded, and 1,529 in the United States. The CAMI plant employs 1,200 workers. Uniform said layoffs will start Monday. And it goes on to say here that they will resume in October, but the expected result is indefinite layoff of nearly 500 workers. This is devastating to Canada once again. More stupid policies from Justin Trudeau and more stupid decisions from Mark Carney. We got an announcement from the Liberals here saying that they're going to be tough on crime now. So they caused the problem with the crime and now they're going to be tough on crime, apparently. If we're supposed to believe them, they're going to recruit 2,000 new RCMP, CBSA, They're just ripping off Pierre Poilievre's platform again, except you can't trust these guys. Next up, we have Kevin O'Leary talking about how since Trump pulled back those tariffs, that has taken a lot of the wind out of Carney's sails here. And we are seeing a boost in the polls now, a reputable poll, which I'll show you next, which ties in with this.
The leading guy, Mark Carney, was using distraction of Trump attacking Canada and jesting about it's going to be the 51st state and all that. It started with a very toxic relationship with Trudeau, who's gone now. He was kicked out by his own party. And Carney's been successful in saying, don't look at the track record of my party, which bankrupted 25% of you Canadians and wiped out GDP growth. Canada only grew 1.4% over a decade. It's the most disastrous period in Canadian history. And that was all at the feet of the Liberals. He's masterfully said, look, forget about that. Let me distract you to Trump. Trump is only looking at Canada, but now Trump's looking at 60 countries. So all of a sudden, Carney's on the backbench and he doesn't get to use that fulcrum anymore. And I think it's going to show up in the polls that people start looking at his track record, and that may hurt him in the election. We'll wait and see. But my sense is that's happening right now. And now he's going to run into trouble because people are going to start saying, well, the Trump thing is getting resolved. But what about you and your party? And what about your track record? And all the same people that buried the country are still in their positions in cabinet. Why do we want more of that? So that's a little derivative from what's going on in Washington.
That is exactly what we're seeing here. We got exclusive poll coming from Juno News. Now you might be wondering, this still shows the Liberals ahead. Well, according to their last poll, so Juno News contracted out another poll before this, the Liberals were up at 43%, the Conservatives were at 33%, and the NDP were at 11%. So that's an important distinction because the Conservatives have gone up 3, the NDP have gone up 3, and the Liberals have gone down 4. So we're seeing a shift of the Liberals losing support and the NDP and Conservatives gaining support because the whole tariff situation is no longer pinned on Canada. It's getting diluted out. It's not the top issue in Canada. Affording food and a house and having jobs are the main problems in Canada. But the main takeaway from this poll is this one here. This is the neighbor poll. So they asked people, who do you think your neighbor would vote for? And there we have it. The Conservatives leading 40 to 38%. Because a lot of time people don't want to reveal who they feel weird about telling people who they would want to vote for. There's a real change happening here in the polls. I'll link up this video at the end, but they go on to show here for demographics like this one, female 18 to 34. I believe they say this jumped by 6% for the NDP. So the NDP are really starting to eat back into the Liberals' numbers now. This is anyone's ball game at this point. Well, not the NDP, but the conservatives or the liberals. It's the liberals do not have a lock on this election at all. And we're seeing that because Jagmeet Singh is now coming out and announcing a bunch of stuff, which is playing to his base. As we're seeing here today, him mentioning the Cayman Islands tax dodging with Mark Carney. I showed it in my morning video. Let's take a look at this, though. Brookfield registered entities to Cayman Island address Obama called the largest tax scam in the world. So you got Jagmeet Singh banging his drum on this.
We've learned now additional example of Brookfield Investments, and specifically Mark Carney, another fund that he managed, where they used the location of Ugland House in the Cayman Islands. This is a particular location that was referred to by Obama, former President Barack Obama, as either one of the busiest workplaces or the largest buildings in the Cayman Islands, or a massive tax evasion space. This is a space where over 15,000 businesses have been registered to this one property, this one location. And it's clear the only purpose for registering in this office is to avoid paying taxes. And what this means is, again, another example of Brookfield Investments, whether they're doing it legally, even if they're doing it legally, it's cheating our healthcare system, it's cheating our pensions, it's cheating Canadian investments because you're not paying your fair share and you're making your money in Canada, you're not paying your taxes in Canada. And I'm worried that if Mark Carney was a chair of a company and was the head of this fund and made this decision as recently as just a couple months ago, he's not going to be someone that's going to crack down on offshore tax havens. He's not going to make sure companies pay what they owe and invest in our country.
Yes, Jagmeet, pull liberal supporters towards you. That's exactly what's happening here. This is the kind of Jagmeet the NDP want to see, cracking down on tax dodgers like Mark Carney. So that directly supports what we're seeing, this bump here from Juno News. Also, Juno News has this, which we're already well aware of this, but it says new poll suggests that Canadian unity may be at stake in federal elections. So if the Liberals win here, it'll spike separatist sentiments across Canada. That is what's going to happen. There's going to be a big push. You might even see Cpac and Alberta both go to votes to separate. Who knows? Got this one from Netanyahu of Israel, absolutely blasting Mark Carney. It says Canada's always sided with civilization, so should Mr. Carney, but instead of supporting Israel, a democracy fighting a just war with just means against the barbarians of Hamas, he attacks the only Jewish state. Mr. Carney, backtrack your irresponsible statement. This is not going to be good for the Jewish vote for Mark Carney. And speaking of Mark Carney, we've got this one posted by Judy Trin. This is a CTV reporter that was complaining at Poilievre's press conference the other day for not getting a question. It says Mark Carney update on shifting tariff situation with U.S. did not take questions. Canada still face 25% tariffs on auto, steel, and aluminum. At this point, Canada and Mexico not expected to face reciprocal tariffs when Trump lifts pause in 3 months. How do you know that, Judy? You have no idea what Trump's going to do. This just makes it sound better for the Liberals. Did she grill him for not taking questions?
As you know, just convened the Canada-U.S. Committee, had a good long discussion on several aspects. The first is the general situation. In the last week, there have been a lot of developments in terms of U.S. tariff policy, reactions from others, including China, a really marked tightening in financial conditions, a slowing, the initial signs of slowing in the global economy, impacts.
Just to sum it up, he did nothing. He talked to Trump and nothing happened. He got nothing for Canada.
We're starting to see unfortunately, in the Canadian economy, particularly in the Canadian labor market. We reviewed our response to those tariffs, our core strategy of to fight, to protect, and to build. We left instructions for officials to ensure that the next government, whichever government Canadians choose, will be in the best possible position for negotiations with the United States, which, as the President and I have agreed, will begin from the start of May. En français.
This guy is so useless. Breaking, CTV News has learned that the Ingersoll GM plant that makes electric vans is shutting down. Permanent closure is feared. How's that Liberal plan working out now? Don't worry, Carney will elbow us into more tariffs. He refused to answer questions. Shocked. Did you yell at your question then? Exactly. This biased media is ridiculous. And check out this one here. So after this whole press conference, he runs away. As Michael Barrett says, he's running for cover, refusing to answer questions about his offshore tax havens and if he has money there, if he pays Canadian taxes, financial interest, profits from advocating for heat pumps, both coming from Enercare and investment in Train, cooperating with lobbying investigation, Carney dodging questions like he dodges Canadian taxes.
So that's all for now. Thank you. Okay. Reporters trying to get more questions in and hoping answers will come, but very few did.
I am struck by his not taking questions because he may have taken himself off the campaign trail, but there is still an election going on and
He's not taking questions because he's riddled with scandal, connections to China and CCP, Xi Jinping, tax dodging in Bermuda and Cayman Islands. Who supports this guy? It's the Kamala strategy. Make a huge word salad of BS and run from the press. We see through him. I mean, look at this on the CBC. They'll attack Pierre Poilievre for only taking 4 questions. Mark Carney, though, just ran from a press conference taking 0 questions.
We're going to talk a little bit about the West Coast, where leaders have spent much of their week, and that bubbling idea of Western alienation, whether that's something real or not. And we're also going to talk about Pierre Poilievre and how he is managing journalists and the media, and how the people around him are very much controlling the questions and access to him, and whether that's paying off as a campaign strategy. And then we're going to take lots of questions from people in
Oh yeah, lots of questions.
The audience, and you'll see some of that tomorrow and in the days ahead. This is really about me getting out of the Ottawa bubble.
They always take their jabs. $1.4 billion to spread propaganda to the country. Meanwhile, we've got Pierre Poilievre coming out with another new plan to help Canadians.
We also have to bring fairness to savings. Right now, folks are putting money in RESPs for their kids. And then their kids try to go and use those RESPs for the trades, and the banks won't let them. The banks are only allowing it for university and traditional college programs. That's not fair. And that's why I'm here today to announce that Conservatives will require all banks and financial institutions to recognize trades programs and apprenticeships as eligible RESP programs and ensure all the expenses related to these programs are eligible for educational assistance payments.
I mean, look at all the people in the background. They're all nodding while he said it. Another great plan from Pierre Poilievre. Meanwhile, where's Mark Carney? He ran from the cameras. What's he getting his bunions rubbed right now? Someone's feeding him grapes? Thought this was funny. It says, how do we get these for our lawn?
Small fringe minority who are holding unacceptable views.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary. I mean, you start from a prior of conflict and ill.
It says, funny enough, Staples can print them off on cardstock cheap too. We got this one here. Mark Carney's asked about the polls and what he thinks about them. Listen to this. And just his reaction, his body language, it gives me a very uneasy feeling.
Catherine Lévesque, National Post. Good morning. People at Conservative rallies say they don't necessarily believe national polls. Earlier this morning, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre would not say if he believed them. My question to you, do you believe the polls right now? And do you commit to recognizing the result of the election, whatever it is?
Jeez, of course.
Look at this guy. Every time you get a hard question like this, he stepped back. He's standing there. He steps aside and to the back. He always does it this side too. Do you notice that? He doesn't do that in other questions.
Oh, jeez, of course. Okay. This is Canada. This is Canada. I know there's certain parties that just import all their slogans and their policies from America. But let's not import that nonsense into Canada. We will have, and we are in the midst of a fair and open and free election in Canada.
Are you kidding me? You have China pushing you. The leader of China, your business partners with him. This is absurd.
I am very pleased about the very high level of engagement of Canadians across this country in this election process. Being informed, coming out to rallies, knocking on doors, making phone calls, discussing around dinner tables. This is exactly what we need because this is the most consequential election of our lifetime. The only poll that matters is the poll that has started with advance polling, but the poll that happens on election day, the votes of Canadians. And I and my colleagues are focused on doing everything we can to earn that trust. But certainly, and it goes back maybe to the question about the platform, that ensuring that Canadians, the media, stakeholders, Canadians themselves are fully informed about what we're going to do. We're not just going to stand up to Donald Trump and get the best deal for Canada, although
he's got to bring Donald Trump in, doesn't he? He just has to do that because he's got nothing else to run on. These guys have decimated our country. Now they're just praying to Orange Man bad that he can carry them through on this.
We will do that. We're the only ones who. but we're going to build this country and we're going to protect Canadians while we do it.
Yeah, and you're not doing any of that. Coming from the guy that lifts all his policies from Pierre Poilievre, who spent years creating and promoting them. Lots of engagement from China, too. What about these slogans? The stupidest one, elbows up, spend less, invest more, plans versus slogans, substance over slogans, masters of our own house, sunny ways. While he answered like a child trying to slander other parties, Pierre answered much more respectably. Says the man who lifted the entire platform from the Conservatives. Turns out the green grifter doesn't have any special plans. I thought this rock star banker was supposed to save Canada. Turns out he's got nothing but dirty ties to Xi Jinping and China. Next up, we got Danielle Smith says Liberals' climate policies are making Canadians poorer and weaker.
Everyday working Canadians have had enough of bad policies and bad ideas from Ottawa that only serve to make us weaker and weaker and weaker. Enough with their meaningless, virtue signaling, extreme climate policies that only serve to make Canadians poorer, threaten our energy security, kill jobs and investment across the country, and make us vulnerable to unpredictable trade winds. These policies are not progressive. They're the very opposite. They're regressive. They take us backward, not forward. We cannot let Canada continue to be managed into mediocrity. We must take action to strengthen our country and create lasting prosperity for generations to come. That means building pipelines and forts and power grids, not just writing press releases about them. That means developing our resources, oil, gas, uranium, potash, agriculture, and yes, critical minerals, because global security depends on Canadian production. And that means competing in the AI race, not regulating ourselves into irrelevance. And that means building up our military to ensure we can defend our sovereignty, meet our NATO obligations, and hold the line in the Arctic and abroad. And that means finding new trading partners.
All very valid points. I mean, if we look at our country today, we have flying taxis now in China, and we can't even get a government to stop stealing from us, from its own population. That's how bad this is. Next up, the Liberals are trying this dirty tactic again. It's not going to work. We got Toronto Star pushing this story. Exactly where do Conservatives stand on abortion? We all know this answer. This is not a hot topic like it is in America. So Pierre Poilievre asked about this. He put this one to bed pretty quickly.
I can guarantee you there will be no laws restricting abortion passed when I'm Prime Minister. For 20 years, the policy of the Conservative Party has been that there will be no restrictions brought in on a woman's right to choose. It's been in our policy since it was adopted by our party members in the year 2004. So this is a 21-year policy adopted by our members and upheld at all of our subsequent conventions. So there will be no laws or other restrictions imposed on a woman's right to decide to do with her body as she wishes. And that is something that I'm guaranteeing to you and to all Canadians.
There we have it, straight to the point. So he also mentioned this on French media here. We'll never change the law. I don't know why the Liberals keep trying this tactic. So next up, listen to this nonsense. To cue up this one, we got to take a look at this. So Corey Tenenick, this Conservative strategist for Doug Ford's campaign, absolutely blasted Pierre Poilievre and his team for dropping a 25-point lead. This is disgraceful. This doesn't help the party. If you have that opinion, send it to them. So a lot of people are saying they're trying to do this to help Doug Ford try to take over the party and all this stuff. If that happens, I will be blasting you guys every single day for 4 years. FYI. Regardless, Pierre Poilievre has asked about this. Listen to this answer. He's ready to be Prime Minister.
Hi there, Marina von Stackelberg with CBC News. Stephen Harper's former director of communications says, quote, blowing a 25-point lead and being 10 points down is campaign malpractice at the highest level. Is it campaign malpractice?
No, I answered that question 2 weeks ago. Liberals and lobbyists want me to stop talking about high food prices. Well, I'm not going to do that because single mothers shouldn't be going to bed hungry, worried about how they're going to feed their kids in the morning. They want me to stop talking about the doubling housing costs during the lost Liberal decade. I'm not going to stop talking about that. They want me to stop talking about the rampaging crime that's overtaking our streets and the overdose crisis Liberals caused that has taken the lives of 50,000 people. I will not stop talking about that either. After the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling economy under America's thumb, we can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a change. with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, unleash our resources, lock up criminals, and bring home a safe, affordable country for our people. Thank you.
There it is. In this situation where Canada is hurting so badly, people can't afford to eat, and you've got idiots like this guy running his mouth, which does not help the situation. It's a stupid move by Corey. Moving on here, we got Pierre Poilievre pledging to cap immigration.
You can't add people 4 times faster than you add homes for very long, or pretty quick, you're going to run out of places for people to live. Same with jobs and healthcare. So we will go back to having the best immigration system in the world. We will reject the Century Initiative entirely, and we will cap immigration so that our population never outgrows homes, healthcare, and jobs.
There it is, standing ovation, winning platform, sick of the immigration. Yeah, we're all sick of it. Immigration should come with qualifications, which are adapting to Canadian culture, ability to communicate in official language, abide by our laws, with 3-year probation period where whole family can get evicted. Stringent terms creates integration responsibilities. I 100% would agree with this. Because if someone comes in and starts causing all sorts of havoc, with that in there, if it's within that 3-year period, just kick them out. Why would we want to deal with this? Although if we had a system where we put people in jail and put them to work to benefit our country, then we wouldn't need that. If the people are breaking laws, put them in jail, put them to work. At this point, there just seems to be so many forces pushing back against the Canadian people. We need to get our country back. We need to fight back. We need to push hard. This battle is not over. This battle is just getting started.